Back on the Morning Brew, and I'm Larry Aarons along with Aaron Muffaletto. We have a somewhat serious topic to talk about today, but nonetheless very important because of economic conditions. You've heard in the news a lot about foreclosures, and people who have been involved in them certainly know what a traumatic event that can be. And we happen to have with us today one of the leading experts in foreclosure law in New Mexico here with us today, Angelica Anaya Allen, who is director of the Fair Lending Center, United South Broadway Corporation. What is the United South Broadway Corporation, a little bit?
United South Broadway is a community development corporation, nonprofit that provides a lot of different services to try to improve conditions in the community for all of our residents, everyone who lives here.
Okay.
I should have mentioned you're also an attorney, and this is your area of expertise.
Yes.
So paint us a picture of the problem in New Mexico. Are we in good shape? How's the foreclosure situation as we stand today?
Well, I think that as long as there is a foreclosure situation, you're really not in particularly good shape. In New Mexico, although we came into it a little later than some of the other states and the problems were not as severe in the states that had experienced a lot of economic growth and development back in the mid-2000s, you know, we're coming out of it a little more slowly than some of those other states because our economy is recovering a little more slowly than it is in other places. We're still seeing several thousand foreclosures a year being filed in New Mexico. At the height, we were looking at about 8,000 to 9,000 a year, but we're still looking at about 5,000 to 6,000 a year here in New Mexico.
And has that gone up or gone down?
It has gone down in the last couple of years.
Okay.
So we are seeing a little bit of improvement, but then you're still talking about, you know, 600 or 700 families facing the loss of their home every month.
We have a map that you brought along. We're going to put up on the screen. This is a foreclosure map, just to give you an idea of how many homes are in foreclosure. What kind of interpret that for us a little bit, Angelica? What are is it the red ones, the bad ones, or what do we have here?
Well, this really just is showing us sort of the density of foreclosure around the city, where foreclosures are more likely to occur. You can see that the southwest area of this city is really one of the more hard-hit. 87121 zip code is one of the zip codes that actually is experiencing one of the highest percentages of foreclosure in the metro area. And in part, that's because that's where there was more fast development.
Sure.
Right.
And so that's what we see with that distribution of foreclosures. But, you know, Bernalillo County definitely has by far 5 times more foreclosures than any other county in the state.
That's probably because of our population density more than anything else. We just have more people here.
Right, right. I mean, a lot of it is population density. Sandoval County obviously has been persistently one of the hardest hit counties, percentage-wise. But Bernalillo County and Sandoval County are definitely experiencing the worst of it.
Right. And are there a lot of resources for people to help them get through foreclosures?
You know, resources have been developing. There are definitely some places that people can go for help. We do provide services statewide at United South Broadway, so homeowners are welcome to contact us if they're looking to either get a lower payment because they're struggling to make their payment. They do not have to be in foreclosure or sued for foreclosure yet to get help from our office. But if they have been served with a summons and complaint, we have 7 attorneys in our office who are in court every day helping to save people's homes.
This is good news. I understand you're also spearheading some efforts to change the laws and give homeowners some more rights in this area. And then this is going to be before the state Supreme Court. Fill us in on those details, would you?
Well, we have a couple of cases that have gone up through the courts because it's a pretty undeveloped area of law, not just in New Mexico, but around the country. You know, the foreclosure crisis that started in 2008, you know, brought a lot of issues to the courts that the courts had never dealt with before. Some of those issues, I think, have gotten a lot of media attention. The idea that banks had what they called robo-signers who were signing thousands of documents a day, raising questions about whether or not property had been properly transferred. So we do have a couple of cases that we're working on in front of the New Mexico Supreme Court, and we're still waiting for decisions.
Wow. And for those people that did get into a home loan they couldn't deal with, and they just like want to walk away, and they do walk away and don't pay their bills, I mean, what are the repercussions?
Well, the consequences of that are you still have responsibility for that house. You are still the owner of that house until the court finalizes the foreclosure process, or you work out an arrangement with the bank through a short sale, let's say, or what we call a deed in lieu of foreclosure, where the bank takes the house in exchange for the debt. And so if anything happens to that house, you're still personally, financially responsible if you walk away. So we really encourage homeowners not to do that. You know, the housing counseling programs that are around the state at United South Broadway and some of our other partners can really provide you with concrete help if you decide you want to give up your home, or if you decide you want to try to get a lower payment. And we see a lot of homeowners, especially now. There's been some activity on a national level. The National Mortgage Settlement, the Attorney General has become very involved in working to help homeowners save their homes as well. There's information there at the Attorney General's website. There's a website called Keep Your Home New Mexico. And both of those are terrific resources for homeowners.
Good.
I like the fact that if you really need help, the help is free, and you can get legal advice free. And what I like is that you're sitting down at the table nose to nose with people that are looking for a solution, and they otherwise might not be able to afford to hire an attorney like yourself to help them.
Oh, that is absolutely true.
That's really a nice service.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of ads on TV too that advertise that they can help people get out of foreclosure. Are those free, or are those things that people should stay away from?
You know, those are, for the most part, we consider them to be scams.
Okay.
The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has a process for licensing or certifying housing counselors. Those services are always free. So Congress has really made a point of funding those services for homeowners so that homeowners know that they're getting the kind of help that they need. So you really want to make sure that you go to a certified HUD housing counselor for help. If you are paying for that assistance, then it is more than likely not a certified housing counselor.
Yeah.
Angelica, let me ask you, if somebody is watching us and maybe they're a little behind, they're not in foreclosure yet, but they're fearful of it, a couple of guidelines there. Should they talk to their lender? Should they open those lines of communication? A lot of people are afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, they are.
But what would your advice be?
You know, I think it is helpful to talk to the lender. Unfortunately, without professional assistance, that isn't always successful. But it's definitely the first step. Every lender has programs that can help homeowners who are struggling with their payments, who can demonstrate that, you know, some kind of financial hardship. And those programs can lower your payment substantially, or even sometimes put your payment into what they call forbearance. So you don't have to pay for a few months while you're trying to recover from whatever situation it is that you're dealing with.
That's good. So there are ways to avoid foreclosure.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we see people every day who get a lower payment, who don't lose their home in a court foreclosure process, and it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, that was my next question. You've had some good success stories, I'm sure. Yeah. I think the problem for you guys, too, is that you're not just dealing with local lenders. You've got lenders all over the country that you're talking to. Mortgages go everywhere.
They do.
And so you're dealing with a lot of financial institutions in other states, and it gets complicated.
It is, and in fact, you know, that has been part of the problem, which is that you know, actually, in a way, if we were dealing with local banks, we'd be in a much better situation than we are in right now. But, you know, our local banks are kind of disappearing, unfortunately. And so almost every loan now has gone to one of the large international, multinational financial institutions, which has created some of these issues.
And loans are sold to investors, and it gets really tangled out there.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to hear that this is available. It's HUD certified counseling and civil legal services that are available, and they're free of charge. And Angelica and Alan heads that up at the Fair Lending Center, part of the United South Broadway Corporation, a nonprofit. Very, very interesting. If things if you need to get the word out again, would you please come and see us again? We'd love to have
I'd
you.
love to. Thank you.
And you know, if things improve too, we want to know about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I would
Hopefully
love to
next time
report.
we can talk about
Yeah, I mean,
improvements.
we're not like a lot of media. We actually like good news.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys are there, and that's really helpful. And I hope
Thank
the
you.
information was helpful to some of our viewers watching today. If not for you, maybe for a friend. All right, back in a moment. We're going to do some movies with Dan, the
thank
film
you.
guy, in
That
just
was
a
really
moment
fun.
here on The Morning Brew. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Very, very good.